Welcome to the Two Off the Tee show on Fantasy Six Pack. I am your host, Keith Flemming. With me, as always, my man, my favorite degenerate gambler, Alan, aka Actively Lazy 85. What's going on, Alan?
Nothing much, man. Just getting my head beat in by baseball.
Well, I can't believe I did it again, Alan. This is the fifth week in a row. I give 10 plays in my DraftKings lineup each week, and thanks to Emiliano Grillo coming back and winning on Sunday, that's 5 weeks in a row. Ironically, there's two parts that just show how stupid all this stuff is one, I did not have Grillo in any of my bets or props last week, so good call by me. And then the other funny thing is, I do an actual lineup each week, so those are 6 of the plays. And then there's 4 additional ones that are just guys I like in, certain price ranges. All 5 weeks, the guys have came from the 4 additional choices. So maybe I'm saying we need to bet my 4 additional choices from DraftKings this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly a healthy trend. I would keep it going.
So I hope it does continue. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm glad that we're back to an elevated event. You really see the difference in just, when the guys are there and when they're not. Let's put it that way. It was definitely a little anticlimactic overall on Sunday. I know it came down to a playoff and everything, but nobody really played stellar golf to win. Even Grillo, who played great all day Sunday, made double in 18, and that's why there was a playoff. So anyway, we are moving on to the Memorial Tournament in Dublin, Ohio, a.k.a. Jack's Place. That's Muirfield Village, one of the most beautiful golf courses anywhere. But before we get into the course preview, just want to remind everyone that you can become an all-access member of Fantasy Six Pack by going to fantasysixpack.net/plans. You'll get access to their award-winning Discord, award-winning rankings, tools, and more. You can join today by using the promo code F6PMLB for 15% off. And Alan, how well do you know Muirfield Village? Because it is a gorgeous golf course.
I was looking back. I was trying to remember last year's tournament, but I don't think I really know it that well.
It's I want you to pay attention this week. It really is. I think other than obviously Augusta, which is like one of the most beautiful places on earth, I think this is one of the just most gorgeous, lush golf courses. I love, because they have thick rough, the fairways stand out so much more. The greens stand out so much more. There's a lot of water. It's a beautiful golf course that I would give anything to play at one day. Probably not going to happen. But it is known for, again, its thick rough, the generous fairways, its firm and fast greens. Players will need to put their tee shots in the fairway to find success. This event, in a lot of ways, plays like a major championship. For betting cards and DFS lineups, I'm trying to target guys that have a strong all-around game, which, I mean, you can say that every week, but really going to target guys that are elite in 2 categories, and that's strokes gained around the greens and on approach, which is basically the 2 ways to attack this golf course. Again, you got to get the ball in the fairway, but those 2 are almost even more important. The field is packed with the best players in the world. Only Max Homa and Tony Finau are the only 2 players in the top 50 in the world that will not be here. Billy Horschel is the defending champ. Some interesting categories here. There are 9 players in the field with multiple top 15 finishes over the last 5 years. That includes Patrick Cantlay, Siwoo Kim, Jon Rahm, Ricky Fowler, Kevin Streelman, Jordan Spieth, Xander Schauffele, Hideki Matsuyama, and the defending champ Horschel. The top 10 players in terms of total strokes gained over the last 5 years, a lot of the same names. And this is in the order of the most strokes gained: Patrick Cantlay, Siwoo Kim, Xander Schauffele, Jon Rahm, Jordan Spieth, Rory McIlroy, Billy Horschel, Adam Scott, Scotty Scheffler, and Kevin Streelman. Again, Muirfield par 72, nearly 7,600 yards since its most recent renovation. You have to birdie the par 5s. They are the only 4 holes on the entire course that players average for the week playing under par, which that is very rare. it's happened like I think 4 years in a row where none of the other holes, other than the 4 par 5s, play under par. So you've got to attack those par 5s. Obviously, you're not going to see a ton of birdies, so you need to avoid bogeys is a big deal as well. And you just got to also avoid the big numbers, which, again, there's water, the rough, man, if you kind of make the wrong decision near the greens, you can get into a world of trouble. Comp courses. So it's kind of tough, but the two that I think are the most close resembling this is Bay Hill and Torrey Pines, both that play very difficult, in a lot of ways, very similar numbers. I also would say Augusta National, just because these greens are so firm and fast. Obviously there's no rough at Augusta, but I think that the courses otherwise play pretty similar, especially like with the length, the importance of the par 5s, etc. And then again, key stats: strokes gained approach, strokes gained off the tee, strokes gained around the green, par 5 scoring 550 to 600 yards, par 4 scoring 400 to 450 yards, and strokes gained putting on bent greens. Is there anything there that I missed that you have researched or seen that you think needs to be said about Muirfield Village?
Just the waters in play on 11 of the 18 holes. Like I think sometimes that's important to know, like the specifics, because like when people say waters in play, like it's the majority of the holes.
Well, not to mention, if you're playing a golf course, you understand that real quickly. The more water is, the more likely you're going to hit a ball in there.
Yeah, and I read that it was a lot of tree lined fairways, so that might be important to note. For me, I did strokes gained approach, obviously ball striking, but it just got to the point where it's just too many stats. So I just did strokes gained tee to green, because that covers everything.
That's all you did. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, because it just covers everything. And then it factors in that there are two different ways to get to or to score here. Like it could be on the approach shot, or it could be around the green. So strokes gained tee to green just kind of puts everything together and just keeps you from looking in too many different directions. Bogey avoidance would probably be my tiebreaker here. I didn't really get too much into it. It's at the very bottom. I got total driving on my card, but it wasn't really total driving as much as it was just the accuracy.
Yep.
It just because I have a history of having bad luck on courses with a lot of water when it comes to picking golfers. My guys always seem to find the water on Sunday inexplicably. Looking at you, Victor Hovland. So needless to say, I was very weary of this course in general.
Yeah, it's again, it's one of the prestige events of the year. It's a little surprising to look at the list of names that have won in the last 15 years, because there's a lot of, the guys you would expect, but like David Lingworth has won here in the last decade. So it's not shocking to see guys that you would not expect win here. But again, when the main emphasis to me is keeping the ball in the fairway, hitting greens, it really does open up the field. I will say that if you look recently, as the course has continued to get longer, we're seeing more and more, again, kind of like a major, the top guys in the world are typically the longest guys in the world. They're starting to do a lot better at this event than your average player, but that does not mean, again, Billy Horschel is a good player, but definitely not a great one, and he won in a rout here last year.
Yeah, Billy's known to be a monster on bent grass sometimes.
Yes,
he has his moments. I think it was just whenever I see him like at the top, again, I don't really remember last year's event. I'm sure when I log into the app, it'll tell me that I picked some people, because I always like have my list on there.
Right.
But yeah, when I saw Billy Horschel, I was like, I just got to, like, without even knowing the course, I was like, it has to be some kind of bent grass, or bent grass is somewhere in the vicinity.
Yep.
And I actually thought about that, because I did go back and look at the 2022 finish to kind of see, because again, when I do my props, a lot of times if I'm looking for a long shot, I look to see who inexplicably made it into the top 10 last year, and if they've got long odds, I throw them in the top 20. But Liv kind of messed up some of it, because there's a lot of guys in there that that are no longer on tour.
Yep.
So it kind of dilutes some of the value. But Horschel's interesting just because he's a defending champ. Wouldn't call him in great form right now, but also this field is a million times stronger than last year's field. So how much would that like factor in? That's what I'm curious to see. I wanna watch the tournament and use Billy Horschel as a litmus test to see how 13 under last year, depending on who's around him this year, because weather's not even a factor. Weather's going to be beautiful. But look at how,
which means the course is going to actually play Allen really tough, because if it was going to rain, you know what I mean, it would soften it up. But I promise you, they're going to have these greens so firm and fast, and with that rough, that I think that means it's going to play even harder.
Yeah, and I just want to see what it looks like. Like, how do these guys play different? Because that is a legitimate stat. Like, people play better in tougher fields. Brooks Koepka is a prime example. If you looked at Brooks on like an easy course, he's probably playing like 3-4 over. But if you look at him on like any kind of major, he's probably like 5-6 under. Just because like he openly admits he gets up for those types of events. Like, so how does that affect the Billy Horschel? How does that affect the guys that we're looking for, like the Batias, the Rise, the guys that we usually take for the props, the Grillios? Like, how is that gonna play for them to score this weekend? I wonder how much that'll factor in. So I'll be looking pretty closely, more so at the lower tier guys, just to see with elevated events and the format, like how is that going to affect their performances going forward?
Yeah, and we've talked about on this show that when Rahm and Scheffler tee it up together, it's rough. And I mean, if you look at it, even the PGA Championship, which Koepka won, when we can all agree that Koepka, when he's playing the way he is now, is, you know, a top player in the world, he would be definitely in that group with like Scheffler and Rahm.
Yeah.
That, you know, and Scheffler was there. So, I mean, it just, you know, these guys continue to kind of stranglehold it. Both of them have some success here. Rahm's won here. So we'll see. But all right, let's do my DK lineup, and then we will get into our bets. Again, because I have to plug this while I can, 5 weeks in a row of my 10 plays in the article. You can find that on fantasy6pack.net. Eventual winner was out of those 10 plays. So please do check out that article. But just going through these, the official lineup I have this week, I'm anchoring it with Jason Day, 9,400. I'll get into why when we get to the, you know, betting part of it. Ricky Fowler, 8,500. Again, he's going to come up in the betting part. Sahith Theegala at 8,400. Again, will come up in the betting part. Corey Connors, 8,300. I just like Connors because he's one of the top ball strikers on tour this season, top 15 in the field and strokes gained tee to green, ball striking off the tee and on approach. Basically, if his short game is just decent, I don't see how Connors is not kind of in the mix here. He's had previous success at this venue, 4 consecutive cuts made, and 2 top 25s in his last 3 appearances. I'm concerned with his struggles around the green. He's one of the worst on tour this year, but he's been better in recent weeks in these areas. He's gained strokes around the green and on them in 4 of his last 5 after starting the season. I mean, losing like over 2 shots each week to the field and putting and around the greens. So I don't think that it's any surprise in those 5 events. He's got a win and 2 other top 12 finishes. So I do like him there. Keegan Bradley, 7,800. Again, a guy that I don't have on my betting card, but I just like his performances at the 3 comp courses. Again, I said those for me were Torrey, Bay Hill, and Augusta. He finished 2nd at Torrey in January, 10th at Bay Hill in March, and 23rd at the Masters in April. He's finished inside the top 35 in 7 of his 11 events this year. So at 7,800, I think he's a good value. And I understand some would worry about his recent form because over the last 5 appearances at this event, he's missed the cut twice. His best finish in that span is only 23rd. But he does have previous success at this venue with back-to-back top 10s in 2015 and 16. So he's proved he can play this course. It's just recently he hadn't. And then rounding out the lineup is Keith Mitchell, 7,600. Again, I'll get into him on the betting board. additional plays. Alan, you're probably going to go earmuffs here, but I have Rory McIlroy, 10,600. I know it's crazy for me to do this, but he has back-to-back top 20s at this event as well. A ton, top 10, in his last 5 appearances, which are his only 5 appearances here. And that is something that happens on this course as people get better the more they play it. The 3 main strokes gain categories that I'm looking at this week, Rory excels in all of them. He's 7th off the tee, 4th on approach, 21st around the greens, and he's 2nd ball striking and tee to green. So again, this course is tailor-made for him. With this only being Rory's 6th start here, he's going to win this event, like before his career is over. I have no doubt about that. Why not this week? That's why I included him. Wyndham Clark, 8,200. Again, I'll get into him on the betting card. Byung-Hun An, 7,400. He's missed a cut in his last 2 appearances at Memorial, but in the previous 3, he has a T17, a T2nd, a T24. He's playing really good golf right now, and he's great around the greens and tee to green, and in the top 45% of the field for off the tee on approach. And then finally, rounding out my 10 plays, Eric Cole, 6,900. Again, I'll get to him on my betting board. But Cole's having a great year. I think he's the best value this week on DK at his price. And so just again to go through those names real quickly, Jason Day, 9,400. Ricky Fowler, 8,400. Sahith Theegala, 8,400. Corey Connors, 8,300. Keegan Bradley, 7,800. Keith Mitchell, 7,600. Wyndham Clark, 8,200. Byung-Hun An, 7,400. And Eric Cole, 6,900. What do you think about those plays? Other than I know you probably don't like the Rory one.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know some people probably like he wasn't paying attention. I'm a great multitasker, but when you mentioned Rory, I had to go look at DK real quick to see what his odds were, because at some point they're gonna probably creep up a little.
Is it 14 or 12?
It was 12.
Okay.
So I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with using him for DFS. My gripes with Rory typically are with him like winning a tournament. Might be an event that he might get up for, or might be able to just like it does sound like it's tailor made for him. When I was looking over some of the things, like just the idea of tee to green or strokes gained tee to green, like that's literally his stat.
Yeah, second
because you're gonna get everything with Rory. Some days you're gonna get what in the world, and some days you're gonna get he's unstoppable. And honestly, in a course that seems like the ball will probably go a long ways even after it lands, because like you said, everything's kind of firm. He's probably the best golfer out of all of them at the top, because he gets a lot of distance when he's jacked up, and he's probably the streakiest, if not the second streakiest golfer out of the top guys in the world, I think. Sometimes Scheffler, I think, gives him a run for his money with his streakiness. But like we've seen Rory like drop some dimes, man. And so honestly, if he was one of the guys who just went around and birdied out or never hit a bogey on the round, I would believe it. Like I wouldn't be totally shocked, you know. But
if he hits the driver like he can at this venue, and again, he's really good around the greens. He's improved both that and his putting, over the last 5-6 years. He's at such an advantage on a course like this because he does drive it so long, but he also drives it so straight.
Yeah, but we also never know his headspace. That's
I agree. Yeah. I'm not.
But,
I don't have him on my betting board. For DK, I do really like his price because you're getting him at a considerable discount of Rahm and Scheffler, and Rahm has kind of sprayed the driver a little bit this year, even in the events that he's won. And Scheffler is a guy too that normally he's really good off the tee, but he has his moments as well. And again, last week I don't know what's up with Scheffler, but he just doesn't look like the same dude. You look at the last 2 tournaments, you go, Keith, he finished second, and I believe runner-up again last week. But every time he had a legit chance to like get in those tournaments and really be a true threat to win, he kind of stumbled a little bit. And, he made up the ground when it seemed impossible that, he could win. And then when it kind of came within grasp, he just couldn't finish it all. So for what they call so much more than Rory, I like Rory as that expensive play, but I'm going to get into it. I think Jason Day at 9,400 is better than any of those because, again, the value.
Yeah, and I agree. You can get an anchor at 9,400. You can do whatever you want after that.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's honestly, there's no issue with it. I just wanted to clarify like the differences between DraftKings, like DFS, and picking somebody to win. It's nice to keep it as close, as you can to the same lineups. But sometimes some guys just Tony Finau, prime example, couldn't win to save his life forever, but boy, he could get you some points in DFS.
What do you think the cutoff is for you for a guy's odds that you better feel really damn good about their chances of winning the event? Is it like 15 to 1? Is it a little bit lower?
Anything under 12.
Okay.
I think, yeah. 12 is kind of standard. That's why I checked for Rory. 12 is what I would believe. And it really depends on the golfer. Like I'll tell you right now, Xander, I think is almost 12 to 1 or something like that too. And I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And I love Xander, but ain't no way. He has done nothing to prove that. Patrick Cantlay has not won enough to validate his odds either. Although, statistically speaking, he probably matches up with this course and all the little
he's number one strokes gained here the last 5 years.
All the little nuances that we talk about statistically, he's at the top of the list. But there is an it factor when it comes to picking winners, and guys just have to have the it factor. If the course plays tough, you said something that was key in the beginning, like it plays like a major. That's going to cross out 90% of the guys that I would have typically picked, just because the biggest thing with winning a major is usually your mental versus the course. Player versus course is rarely player versus player. It's you versus the course and your game fighting your own demons. And a lot of these guys can't win because they can't get out their own way. And Cantlay has that sometimes about him. So I think he's overpriced. I think anytime you can get a guy like Rory above 10 to 1, you're getting really good value because that's what we try to look for when we bet him live. His headspace isn't in the best place either. But of all the top golfers, you'll never see Rahm that high again. You'll never see Scotty that high again.
Yep.
We're getting Justin Thomas in like 28 to 1. You got Spieth at 30 to 1, Hideki at 30 to 1. Like,
and that's honestly thanks to Rahm and Scheffler, right?
Yeah, and these are guys that typically you would have seen down in that 14 to 1 range. But odds makers are telling you right now there's no difference in Victor Hovland and Rory McIlroy on the course.
Which, in fairness, they're right because either one of them are winning.
Yeah. So we would like to think, though, that Rory is drastically better.
Right.
So in that case, and I know it sounds like a word salad, but in that case, like from that scope where you got somebody like Rory with his talent and you got somebody in their current form like Victor Hovland, the value truly is in taking Rory McIlroy at 12 to 1 because he's a proven winner.
Exactly.
Regardless of his little stretch he's a proven winner. And you're getting him at odds of somebody that is not a proven winner in Victor Hovland. So, like, for me,
Rory's won at least one event in like 8 straight years on PGA Tour, to your point. So, like, he's probably going to win this year at some point.
Yeah. So to me, anytime I can get somebody like that, again, above 10 to 1, I love it. If I had extra money to throw out, or if I had a free play and was like a F-it bet, I would definitely put it on Rory this week. And again, wouldn't be surprised if because he's on the spectrum, man. I wouldn't be surprised if we get Roy that's really good. But if we get Roy that's like, what's going on, I will be the first person to say something because I always am.
Yeah, and it's fair.
Yeah.
Again, also what I love about Rory, an event like this, he didn't have to get off to a great start with the cut line being, relatively high. And he, we know he loves to backdoor top 5 with the best of them. All right, let's get into our bets and props. I mentioned Jason Day, 25 to 1. He's the anchor of my DK lineup. I want to go. He's my favorite play. It's the lowest odd bet I have this week to win. He's a local to the Ohio area. He lives there now. He didn't play well at the PGA Championship, but I mean, he is having a monster season. He has the win at the Byron Nelson. We know about that. 4 other top 10 finishes in his last 9 starts. So think about that. He's got 5 top 10s in his last 9 starts. He's in the top 21 of the field in my 3 key categories. That's on approach, around the greens, off the tee. His numbers across the board in strokes gained are as good as any player on tour this year. He's top 10 in total strokes gained, short game, strokes gained tee to green. I really like the value of using Day as the anchor of my DK lineup. And I think 25-1, that's as good of an odds as you're going to get on a player of this caliber who just proved 2 weeks ago he can win. I know that wasn't a loaded field, but there was some really good players in that field, including Scotty Scheffler. He held them off, and he just answered all the questions coming down the stretch. I love Day at 25-1 this week. Real quickly, I do also have him, I believe, 5-1 to top 5.
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna point out my sheets are getting smaller and smaller in my notes. This is somebody's envelope. This isn't even a real sheet. I got last week's on the front, and then I've got this week's on the back. I honestly don't know what I'm doing sometimes out here. I think I'm a mad scientist. Morikawa and Hatton are my top 2 at 22-1, both of them. I had Hovland at 18-1 at the top because here's the thing. I try to stick to my price ranges. So I had 3 guys that were in the same range that I liked. So I just make sure I write down the third guy, the extra guy, just in case. And then I go through my stats and I look for tiebreakers. Like, what's going to be the tiebreaker? Prime example, PGA Championship. When it came down to Rahm and Scheffler, I said the tiebreaker was the driver accuracy or the driving. Like, you literally, like, Scheffler was better with the driver than Rahm. Like, that's, to me, was the difference. So when we had the picks, I was like, oh, I would have taken Scheffler first over Rahm just off of that idea. And this week, I think what I did for Hovland, it was the par 5 scoring and the approach shots. Really just because, like you said, and for people who don't know, I don't know what Keith's picking before. I don't even talk to Keith except for to get whenever the link is that we're going to do the podcast. I do that for 2 reasons. One, I don't want him to be picking because he thinks that, oh, I got this guy. And then 2, I don't want to do that either. I don't want it. I want it to be very, very natural. Like,
respect the process.
Yeah. So when he's telling me his plays, I'm taking all the information in real time, like you guys. And then I'm looking down sometimes to make sure, like, oh, we got the same guy or we don't have the same guy, just to kind of so we can have that banter. But I crossed Hovland out because of approach shots. Hatton and Morikawa are pretty solid on approach shots. Matter of fact, Morikawa hasn't done anything right except for the approach shots. Honestly, he was 5th in the tournament last week. He's been pretty much 5th or top 5 all year long. His driving isn't all that bad. And what I tried to emphasize or make sure I leaned more to was the accuracy with the driver, not so much distance. I mean, distance does play a factor, but Morikawa is above average driver. Hatton is above average with the driver as well. Accuracies are way above average, which is great. And then like I said, for me, at the end of the day, I have history with Hovland and courses with water. I'm telling you, man, if he splashed, I'd probably bet him. So that was a personal deciding factor for me as well. So again, I went with Morikawa and Hatton at 22-1.
I like it. My next play, 35-1. I'm going to keep going to this well because I really believe he's going to win soon. Ricky Fowler. I keep using him in my DFS lineups, and again, for good reason. I'm actually shocked he's not more expensive. In his last 9 non-major PGA starts, he has 8 top 20 finishes. His worst finish is 31st. 7 of those are top 15 finishes, 3 top 10s. His best result came just last week with a 6th place at the Charles Schwab. He's 11th in strokes gained approach. He's 19th tee to green. He has 3 top 15 finishes at this event over the last 5 years. So even when he wasn't playing at the top of his game, he was finding success at this venue. He's just due for a win. And Muirfield is a course that plays to Ricky's strengths, which is consistency. Ricky hits the ball straight. He hits the ball plenty far enough. He's good around the greens. and his putting has continued to improve. I just think Fowler at 35-1. He's getting close to where I can't do it anymore because as he comes down, I got to get some value on. But I think 35-1 for a guy again that he's got 8 top 20s in his last 9 starts. That's unbelievable. I also have him at 7-1 to top 5.
Yeah, I got Ricky Fowler too, 35-1, and I put Sungjae on there as well. Just Sungjae just because he's steady. Worst case scenario, if we get some guys just taking too many risks, I know Sungjae will be right there, man. He's not much of a.
He played well at Bay Hill. He played well at Torrey.
Yeah, and he's not much of a risk taker. He knows how to not take on the water and things like that, which is important. But for Ricky, yeah, I'm very critical of Ricky, but I see the game getting better, getting around. It's almost like, like you're trying to start a fire. There's the spark, and we got some brush, and then somebody needs to blow on it to get it really going. And I think he's getting to that point because he struggled a little early in last week's tournament, but he battled back, and then there was finally some consistency, and that's what we really need to see is consistency. And again, like I said, I think last week or the week before, these guys that are trending up, just keep hedging with props. Like if the guy ain't won yet, but he's hitting top 20s left and right. He's hitting top 10s. You taking him for a top 5. Like if one or two of those land along the way of you waiting on him to win, then you're essentially hedging your bet, and you're perfectly fine. So I wouldn't get off of it until he's under 20, honestly, because he's bound to win. I think when Spieth finally won, he was around 35-40-1. When he won it, yeah, same way, 35, 40, maybe even 50-1 at one point with Day. But you just gotta stay the course. And again, just hedge with the props. Like you see the guys playing well. He's more than likely going to pop top 20, which is probably for him plus odds. It ain't going to be you ain't going to be spending minus 110, so it should be like plus 150 or plus 170 or something like that. You can hedge that.
I agree. Again, a guy I know that sometimes drive you crazy that I'm so
You're going to say Adam Scott?
I'm saying Adam Scott, 45-1. He's yet to miss a cut in 2023.
He's yet to consistently play golf too. Like he'll do great.
He's got 2 top 10s in his last 3 starts. The other start, he finished 29th at the PGA. So
Fool's gold. Every time you get hype about him and you text me like Adam Scott, and then the next round is like, where did he go? I missed him.
2 top 10s and a 29th. I'll explain to you why I like him here. He's top 45 in the field in strokes gained total, approach, around the green, and putting. I've talked about the last few weeks Scott has been very helpful to my lineups on DK, that his approach was off, which we never see that. And it just has not made sense. He's figured something out. His last 3, he's gained almost 8 shots on approach. No surprise. He's been in contention of all 3 of those tournaments going into the weekend. Scott has finished top 35 in 9 of his 13 starts at Muirfield, 6 top 20s, 4 top 5s. So that's 4 top 5s and 13 starts, 6 top 20s and 13. So he plays this course very well. I also like him at 10-1 to top 5 and 4-1 to top 10.
What was his last 3 most recent finishes?
Here?
Yeah.
I know he had 2 good ones and a bad one.
Okay.
Because he had a runner. Hold on, I'll look it up for you. He had a runner up here recently, I believe.
And I'll say anytime
he's gone T67, T16, second, T35.
That's not too bad. Anytime you're looking at bogey avoidance, Adam Scott should pop up somewhere. Because again, even when he's giving shots back, I still think in the rounds I've seen him play bad, I mean the whole field was bad. It wasn't like he was inexplicably giving back shots. I mean, he's giving back shots at like places like the PGA Championship, Bay Hill type places where literally the entire field is shooting over par. So it's not something like too concerning. I just don't think he's got what it takes to win anymore. But
if he starts hitting his, I just keep pounding on this. His short game is better than it's ever been. His driving is as good as it's ever been. The only thing that has been off has been his approach. And it looks like he's figured that out. Because I think 3 events in a row, especially with one of them being the PGA Championship, we know how difficult that venue played. He's starting to feel comfortable. And if he continues, like it's been a year now that he's been putting really well. I was shocked his around the green numbers are almost 2 strokes gained per event over his last 5 on the field. He was 100. I think he's 102nd right now. An approach, he was 128 3 weeks ago. If that continues to come up, again, you may be right about him not winning, but I think he's going to be in contention if he can just basically hit his irons well this week, because we know he's going to hit a ton of fairways. And again, his short game is just good now.
Yeah, and I'm not naysaying from just for the people watching. I'm definitely not naysaying from a point of like he's got no chance. I know what I'm talking about, because this is how, honestly, this is how you formulate your lineup sometimes, is that you have dissenting opinions and then you guys go back and forth, because you might like, I have a bias with some of my golfers and I love them no matter what. Brooks Koepka, I love him no matter what. I'm taking Brooks. So it helps to have somebody be like, well, Brooks hasn't really played well in 2 years.
Alan, you're talking to a Tiger mark. You don't have to.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I'm just explaining to the people looking so they understand, like, so we can go back and forth and you make these convincing arguments.
They could have amputated Tiger's leg and he showed up at Augusta, and I would have been like, I got him to win.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I secretly am a sucker too. I'll throw $5 on Tiger every time. So, but yeah, Adam Scott isn't like the worst play. And what was his odds one more time? Was it 45?
He's 45 to 1. He's 10 to 1 to top 5 and 4 to 1 to top 10.
This is wild because they like the PGA Championship. He's like 100 to 1.
It is weird, because that's what I was saying about Fowler. Fowler was like 60 to 1 at the PGA, and now and again, I know he finished T6 last week. I know Scott again had his 3rd straight, top 30 performance. There are 2 top 10s, but I'm with you. And again, there's only 2 guys missing out of the top 50 in the world.
Yeah, this event. I know, it's really weird. I had Keegan Bradley 70 to 1 was my next one before, and that's a borderline long shot at 70 to 1, but I just really think if he it's cliche, but if he gets that dog in him, man, I think he can win seriously, because he plays some good golf, and these tree line courses is usually where he does his best work for me when I've played him. So I like it, and I was very happy. I was just gonna say I was very happy to see that, like, statistically, he kind of lined up with what I was looking for in guys this week. I was very happy to see that he was fitting that mold. I didn't have to convince myself too much.
Again, he had top 10s in 15 and 16. That was honestly the 2 years that he played his best golf, arguably up until this year of his career. And then I've had a lot of success this year trying to really use my golf knowledge on picking comp courses. And so much of my strategy this year is making sure the guys have played well at those courses. And Keegan was as good as anybody here in those 3. 2nd at Torrey, 10th at Bay Hill, 23rd at Augusta. I was really close to having Keegan on my betting board. I'm probably going to regret not, because I think he had some pretty good top 10 odds too. But, you can only make so many bets.
Yeah.
I've got 250 to 1 guys, Sahith Theegala and Siwoo Kim. Theegala has played in this event twice. He's made the cut both times. Again, I've talked about it. It's kind of a hard event. Like, the more you play it, you're going to do better in it. You got to learn it. He finished T5th in his 2nd year, so he seems to be being a fast learner. He's known for his power, but it's actually his scrambling ability that allows him to contend consistently in these difficult events. He did well at Augusta. He does. He plays almost all hard venues really well. He's in the top 25 in strokes gained, short game, and around the greens. His worst finish in the 3 comp courses that I talked about, 14th. So this year he's played that well at Bay Hill, Torrey, and Augusta. Siwoo Kim is just really about his course history. He's got a T13, T9, T18th his last 3 appearances. He's finished 25th, 39th, and 29th at the 3 comp courses, Torrey, Bay Hill, and Augusta. And he's top 30 in the field off the tee and on approach. Also top 20 on tee to green and ball striking. This just to me seems like a Siwoo place. All right, my first long shot, Gary Woodland. It's scary, okay? I'll go ahead and tell you because he's so bad around the greens and putting that if he is not elite ball striking, it's not going to be good for him. Like, I know that. It is what it is, but he's top 10.
I'm going to cut you off and just tell you, if you're picking the long shot, like, you don't have to explain that, man. That's a long shot. That's why we're picking him.
But I like that. I got to give my reasoning, man. He's, I know, top 10 off the tee.
It's supposed to be scary.
And on approach in the field, 16th tee to green and 3rd in ball striking. The positive is over the last 5, he's gaining 4.8 tee to green, 3.2 off the tee, 2.8 approach, and his putting numbers are still bad. He's still giving up strokes each and every week to the field on putting, but they continue to go down. It was almost 2.5 8 weeks ago. It's now an average of just under 1 for the last 4. That's kind of his career mark, so that's not going to kill him. Woodland is just the kind of guy that if he has the kind of ball striking tournament that he's capable of, he could easily win this event. I think 90-1 is really good odds for him.
Well, I see your Gary Woodland, and I'll raise you Cameron Davis, who is everything that you just said, but probably like, I don't know. I would say you pick Chucky, I pick Freddie Coop. Like this is terrifying. But hey, he's 100-1. Why not? I mean, I just hope that wherever he hits it is far enough that it clears all the water. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like it's a long shot, man. That's why we're picking them, because they're long shots. So I was like, I don't have to justify this. I mean, he's good off the tee. And that's where it pretty much ends most of the time. So I'm hoping that he just catches.
He's above average player on approach too.
Yeah, just catch lightning in the bottle, man. Just stay out the water. We got a shot.
Well, the odds that I really don't understand, and this is why it's a long shot, but obviously I actually really like this one. He was in my DK plays. Keith Mitchell, 110-1. I think he's going to be really low owned. And that's because he's played bad in his last 4 tournaments. He has 3 finishes of 53rd or worse and a missed cut. But at Muirfield Village, he has played very well over his career. He has back-to-back top 25 finishes at this event. And the reason I'm not concerned about the recent poor play is he has a history of playing really bad at those events leading up to this one. For example, in 2022, he missed 3 consecutive cuts before this event and went on to finish 22nd that year. 2021 came in the event with 2 missed cuts in 3 events that preceded the Memorial. Again, he finished inside the top 25. He is 3rd in the field, strokes gained off the tee. That's one of the big, categories. It's imperative for players to avoid the rough. And Mitchell's a streaky putter. If he can get hot with the putter, this is a great venue for him. Again, I think we're both, nailing the number one thing in all these people is they're very good off the tee, to where we know they're not going to deal with the rough as much as other people. That means they're going to, probably make less bogeys. But Keith Mitchell 110-1. I really like that long shot play.
Yeah, I stopped at Cameron Davis because I was like, that's crazy.
Sorry, I also have Mitchell 22-1 to top 5. He's 9-1 to top 10. So again, I think those are great odds for a guy that's, again, back-to-back top 25s in this event. Yeah.
And I went with one top 20 prop, Aaron Rye at 4-1.
You can't get away from this dude.
No, man, because look, this is gonna work this week. Although my
hadn't it been if you pick him, he doesn't play well, and if you don't,
every time I pick him, he plays awful.
I'll just start. You need to let me know if you picked him each week, and if not, I'll pick.
No, for real. I was gonna say if he was, I really was listening because if he was in your lineup, I was like, I'm not gonna pick him. But yep, Aaron Rye, baby. We're going back to the well.
What's his odds?
4-1 to top 20. He was T26 last year. Missed the top 20 by 1 stroke. I think he's in better form this year, but the field is also tougher. But YOLO, let's go, Aaron Rye. Let's do it.
I love it. Real quickly, again, going over these props. I think everyone but Eric Cole I've pretty much talked about. I have Day 5-1 to top 5, Fowler 7-1, Adam Scott 10-1, Theegala 10-1, Mitchell 22-1. Again, those are doubling down on bets to win. Top 10, I have Adam Scott 4-1. Oh, this is one I didn't discuss. Wyndham Clark plus 450. He's finished in the top 35 for the 2 comp courses he played, which were Torrey Pines and Bay Hill. Like Rory Clark, is very good in all 3 of the main categories we're looking at. On approach and around the green, he's inside the top 40 for the field. He's 7th in strokes gained total in the field, and he's the 20th most expensive player on DK. That was one of the reasons he's in my DK lineup. That is unbelievable value. I mean, to think about that, he is the 7th best, because strokes gained total means how well you're doing against the fields you're playing in. He's missed 2 cuts in 3 appearances at Muirfield, but those were his first 2 appearances there. He finished 37th last year, so I like that. Woodland plus 750 to top 10. Keith Mitchell, I mentioned 9-1. And then Eric Cole, 14-1. I also have him plus 550 to top 20. He's made the cut in 9 of 14 starts in 2023, 8 finishes inside the top 40, 4 inside the top 15, 2 inside the top 5. He's just playing great golf. He's 13th in total strokes gained in the field, and he's the 56th most expensive player in the field on DK. Again, that is why I said I thought he was the best value for DraftKings this week. He's 19th in strokes gained approach, 6th in strokes gained around the green. Off the tee is the big concern, but again, it's 6,900 and getting 14-1 to top 10 and plus 550 to top 20. I'll gladly do it. And then finally, I got Sam Stevens as the other top 20 play, 6-1. He's 28th in the field in total strokes gained. He's great off the tee. He's good on approach. 7 top 35 finishes in his last 12 events, 4 top 20s and 2 top 3 finishes. Very talented young dude. He's actually buddies with Eric Cole. So Sam Stevens. Do you have any other bets or props or?
No, if I do, actually, I was gonna do more research on the props. I wasn't satisfied with the odds I was getting on a lot of them. That's why I just have Aaron Rye. So I'll just post on my Twitter handle when I come up with it. I just need another 24 hours, because I was just looking back again. Like Keegan Bradley is 70-1 to win, but he's plus 550 to top 10.
Yeah,
that doesn't seem like the right odds in relation to what we're used to getting.
But I think that these sites are learning that, again, people like us will look at who has success at comp courses, and you know what I mean? And so they are changing the odds. If a guy has had success, their odds go down considerably in these events. Again, I think that's why Adam Scott's to win odds are kind of shocking at 45-1, but he's got 7 top 15 finishes at this event.
I mean, some of it's like almost like the field isn't as good, but I'm like, this is the same field.
No, I'm with you.
It's the same field.
Hopefully it's not a trend, and it's just something interesting. So we'll see. And again, they fluctuate a lot throughout the week. So
there's nothing wrong with recalibrating, man. Like you don't have to bet.
Exactly.
You really don't. And I will tell you straight up, baseball just rocked me for like a week, which happens in May a lot. But I always use this as an example. I have to reset like 6 to 7 times out of a season in baseball because the season's so long.
You don't want to get on tilt either, right?
And I would imagine
out of anger and
and I would imagine if I bet hockey because the season's really long, it would be the same thing. Like NFL, you kind of don't want that because it's such a small season, just like college football. Like you don't have many games, but these longer seasons, golf is kind of the same way, man. Like sometimes you got to recalibrate. And when the math ain't mathing, that's when you should probably take a step back and hold on. So, like I said, I have Aaron Rye because damn it, we're gonna win one. But other than that, I was like, I need to take another day.
No worries. They got plenty of information if they listen all the way to the end. All right, you got anything you want to plug?
Nope. that's it for me.
Just follow us Twitter, otherwise.
Yeah,
you'll see
follow
the
me
rest
on
of us
Twitter.
prop bets.
You can see me cry about some of my bets, and also curse the name of Bam out of the bio.
Yeah.
No, I know his name. I know
Yeah.
his name. I just been calling him something else. That's why I had to pause.
I'm glad. I've seen some of those texts, so I'm glad. I appreciate you doing
makes
that.
me so bad.
Be sure again to check out my DFS article on fantasy6pack.net. And tomorrow on the Inside Drive, 1 p.m. Eastern, I will be on discussing this event. I'm going on after Dr. Hoops. And Ryan told me to be sure to be versed on basketball. And I was like, ugh.
Oh, man, dang.
I might talk about the Nuggets smoking probably the Heat, unless they can still game one.
Dude, I make everybody mad about basketball. I should go on.
Well, I appreciate you, Alan. For Keith and Alan, this has been 2 Off the Tee, the preview of the Memorial Tournament. Again, be sure to check out all of our work on Fantasy Six Pack, including this is where this video will be up on the YouTube page. Be sure to follow all of them, and we'll see you soon.
All right, take care, man.